Hello, my friends. My name is Ryan Freeman, and we're going to go on a walk and talk around my school as I go through some of the various things happening at this place that I work at here in GIE City as a public school English teacher, this junior high school. And would love to hear your comments down below. We're just going to cruise through the school on my free time. Right behind me is a music class. This is where the magic of music happens. I'm gonna put this on my neck mount so that you guys can get a front view as we cruise through. Maybe try to find a quiet spot. This is sort of the back part of the school. Hello, hi. Hello. Friendly seventh graders. Seventh graders are typically a lot more energetic than the 8th or the 9th graders. And they're always very excited, full of life. But I'm gonna avoid them and go back here. Go towards the parking area, because I wanna talk about something that just happened. Now, I was pretty tired this morning, had a couple PE classes, ate lunch, took a nap, and when I take a nap, I tend to crash out. Now, I put an eye mask over my eyes, and I'm gonna go back so you guys can see me. I put an eye mask over my eyes. I end up putting a blanket over me. I fully recline, and I put earphones in, and I put the sound of ocean waves on. So I'm completely out for about 45 minutes. And then I get up and I'm like, oh, back to reality. And I wake up back to work. And today there was 2 teas on my desk that just magically appeared. I had already gotten 2 teas earlier in the day because teachers and students are celebrating Teachers Day. The whole school is celebrating Teachers Day, which is officially, I think, not for another week, but it's so hot out here. I'm gonna go back over this way. It's not for another week, but for whatever reasons, we're getting free teas today. And then there was this little girl comes in, little 7th grader, crying. And she sits down. A teacher sits her down on a seat near me, and it's too hot over there. She is crying and sobbing, and everyone in the office doesn't know what's going on. We just all hear the sound of we all just hear the sound of this young 7th grader sobbing, and a couple ladies in the office go to comfort her and talk with her. And I come to find out that she was bullied. Or at least the story I was given. Oh, we got a leaf blower over here. The story I was given was that she was called a nickname that she did not approve of. So I guess right now I just want to talk about what does bullying look like in my experience in Taiwan so far. And from what I've seen, I have an overall feeling that bullying happens, but it takes on a slightly different appearance than it did when I was in junior high school. When I was in junior high school, I went to school with mostly Latinos, and I was one of the only white kids, and I remember being bullied myself, being the innocent white Christian kid, with one of the only kids with blue eyes. I got bullied a lot. It was mostly, hey, white boy, and they would push me or threaten fights or slap me on the back. My own friends in junior high school used to smack me in the shoulder. One of my best friends was smacking me in the shoulder and call me, I don't even know if you can say it in YouTube, but it starts with an F and it means homosexual, even though I wasn't homosexual, but that was what he liked to call me. Probably because his brother did it to him, okay? Yeah, so bullying was a little different back in my day in America than what it is like here. I don't see that going on now. Students do call each other gay. For example, I was just playing this game last Friday called Do You Love Your Neighbor? This is one of the most successful games you can play with any class, to be quite frank. It works really well with ESL because the kids can be creative following a very simple sentence pattern. People who, and whenever they say people who have white shoes on, the people with white shoes on stand up. People who have long hair stand up and have to change chairs. Well, I was playing it with this class last Friday, and one of the students, people who are gay, and there's one gay kid in the class, and so he stands up and they all laugh. But he got his revenge because he said people who think so-and-so is gay. And it was that kid who got him, and a lot of people stood up. I mean, is that bullying? Now in that particular instance, I didn't think so because I was with a co-teacher. He seemed to be having a good time. All of the kids seemed to be having a good time, but there was one kid in the class. This is the sort of the lone wolf of the class. Everyone sort of stays away from him. He's sort of ostracized. Last year, when the 7th graders went on a camping trip, he was actually excluded. He ended up staying at school and being the only 7th grader on campus. And I said, why is he here? And the teacher said, he can't go on the camping trip because he'll annoy everyone. I was like, oh, that's terrible. But as I got to know this kid, he would come to my office almost every day, specifically to annoy us teachers. And because I'm such a nice guy, and I always go, hi there, he would come up and talk to me. And of course, he would always say he can't speak English. And I don't know. But this poor kid was deeply excluded in that. He wasn't excluded in the game. It's just everyone didn't want to sit next to him and they would scream, and I felt bad for him. But for the most part, I think he was having a good time. But towards the end, he did look a little sad, and I felt bad, actually. Bullying. When my first year in Taiwan, I saw what I considered a bad case of bullying. There was a class full of very sort of aggressive young boys. It was a 7th grade class, so they're all small. And whenever I would call on one student, his name was Daniel, all of these aggressive boys would just go, Daniel, and they would say it in a malicious way. And they would say it in such a bad way. And this poor kid, Daniel, would just like clam up. He would be so distraught. And so I remember talking to, my co-teacher didn't seem bothered by it. And so I remember talking to my co-teacher, and she said, okay, I'll tell the director, I'll tell the class teacher. Usually if there's any issue, you could try to handle it yourself, but failing that, or if you need the best advice, you can go ahead and go to the class teacher, which is the homeroom teacher. And I remember talking to one or two people, a counselor, someone said they were gonna do something. Nothing really got done. They kept doing it. So I took it upon myself to silence those boys. But I question whether my efforts had any good effect because Daniel didn't look any better for it, you know, for me attacking the bullies or defending him. I don't know. As someone who got bullied relentlessly in junior high school, for being me, a nice young white Christian boy at the time, I know bullying sucks and I don't like to see it. But here in Taiwan, it's just, you don't see a lot of maliciousness. They're just fun and teasing. And a lot of times, my first couple years, besides the Daniel story, I thought someone was being bullied. And in fact, they were just all having a good old time. Now you could hear a bunch of kids screaming. Right behind me in this building is a swimming pool for the Catholic school, which is right over there. So I guess that's all I'm gonna say. What do you guys think? If you're teachers out in Taiwan, have you seen cases of bullying? How do you handle it? You know, do you try to keep the students to the same standard of behavior that you grew up with or that you were trained to deal with? Or do you try to adapt to the Taiwanese standard? Because the Taiwanese love to kid each other. They love to call each other, you look like a pig, you know, if you're slightly overweight. And everyone laughs and has a good old time, but then, you know, how far is too far, you know? And do you just rely on your co-teacher who is to be your guide for all of this? Or do you take matters into your own hands? I don't know. But in any case, that's all I'm gonna talk about for bullying. I actually have a lot more to talk about, but I guess maybe I'll save it for another video. My name's Ryan. Bye-bye.